by author Neal Nathan. We have Mr. Neal Nathan sir here. I request Ms. Amina Wali ma'am to kindly welcome Mr. Neal Nathan sir. Mr. Neal Nathan studied engineering, information systems and public policy. He had a long career in information technology and management, consulting in the public sector, working for technology, consulting and advisory firms. He likes to read and has over time developed a keen interest in ancient, modern and contemporary history and linguistics. Raaz Mahal, the Palace of Secrets, is his first writing venture. He lives in suburb near Washington, D.C. with his wife and 2 daughters. Welcome, sir. We also have our moderator, CA Hemant Lodha, sir. Mr. Hemant Lodha is a chartered accountant, business leader, blogger, poet, author, social worker and spiritual seeker. He is presently a managing director at SMS Envocare Ltd. I request Dr. Mrinali ma'am to welcome Hemant sir. In the book Raaz Mahal, the Palace of Secrets, Nathan provides a detailed account of the Taj Mahal's history and meticulous research citations that identify discrepancies in historical records. It is a historical fiction on the Taj Mahal. There is suspense, curiosity, and I have heard that the ending is quite unexpected. So before I hand over the mic to Hemant sir to take over the session, I request Dr. Mrinali Naik ma'am to kindly give an intro.
Thank you. Actually, आज का ये जो सेशन है, नॉलेज सीरीज का सेशन हम 2018 से कर रहे हैं. It's been like पहला सेशन हम लोगों ने जनवरी 2018 में शुरू किया था, जो नॉलेज सीरीज का सेशन था, और उसके बाद में फिर 2019 में हम लोगों ने हमारा पहला लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल लाया, जिसमें अभी हम इसके 5th एडिशन में हैं इस साल के नवंबर में. फॉर्चुनेटली और बाय द ग्रेस ऑफ गॉड एंड सपोर्ट ऑफ मिस्टर सुनील राइसोनी ऑफ कोर्स, ये लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल और इन नॉलेज सीरीज के सेशंस के तहत भी केम अक्रॉस टू दी so many scholars, authors, thinkers, writers, and it was all like what I can say, एक तरह का ये bunch है thinkers का, जिनकी वजह से हम आगे ये सोच सकते हैं कि किस तरह के thoughts society में फैल सकते हैं. And there are people who think over various topics which normal public who usually read nowadays WhatsApp, they don't know such topics at all. So because of these knowledge series sessions and literature festivals and trying to imbibe something in society, we also came across through various topics due to which we came to know about so many things happening in the society and world. Not now, but happened in past also. And today's session is one of that. Although Sir said that it's a historical fiction, but yes, for sure, this is based on the research and documents. And then accordingly, we are going to discuss today the Taj Mahal, which we know a symbol of love. 7 अजूबों में से एक माने जाने वाले में का जो ताज महल है, उसके बारे में हम आज बात करने वाले हैं. I request audience कि आप सवाल जरूर पूछें, क्योंकि maybe you will get an opportunity to get something out of it, or a gift out of it for sure. So do ask questions when you are actually listening and getting indulged into that topic. And for sure, I assure this, we are going to learn something new out of it, which we actually maybe have read something different on WhatsApp about it. Because nowadays, in the University of WhatsApp, for sure this session will add some value to some thoughts of us. So thank you so much, the people present here. Once again, thank you so much to Mr. Sunil Raisoni for supporting such events and supporting such activities. Because after Literature Festival, this is the first knowledge series session. Fourth edition of Literature Festival. This is the first knowledge series session, and I would like to thank Hemant Lodha sir, because he shared the details with us, and he recommended that this is something you should organize. आज का जो सेशन है आफ्टरवर्ड्स आपको YouTube पे भी देखने मिलेगा, एंड फॉर श्योर सेशन में प्रेजेंट होके उसको अटेंड करना और YouTube में देखने में काफ़ी फर्क होता है, जो आपको आज समझ भी आएगा. Thank you so much once again, and thank you so much Nini sir and Hemant sir. I'll hand over the session to you sir.
ऐसे करते थे कि जैसे सो रहे हैं, है ना, क्यों उठ के कौन खोलेगा दरवाजा? तो किसी ने बोला अरे खोल दरवाजा, तो उसको जाके खोलना पड़ता था. तो वैसे ही हुआ मेरे साथ. मैंने सर को इंट्रोड्यूस कराया मृणाल जी से, तो मृणाल जी ने बोला कि यार इनका इंटरव्यू आप ही लो. I am not an expert on taking the interview, so but the responsibility is given to me. I will try my best to do as much as possible. I read the books page to page, line to line, just to get some insight into it. So my first question would be Miss Neal Nathan. Yeah, okay, Miss Neal will be okay. Miss Neal, yeah. So Neal sir, you as she introduced, आप इंजीनियर हैं, आप IT प्रोफेशनल हैं, आप मैनेजमेंट कंसल्टेंट हैं. How it occurred to you write a historical fiction?
First of all, namaste everyone, and thank you for the institution for organizing this program, and Neal Lodha ji for interviewing me. Starting with the first question, and I'll be skipping between Hindi and English as per the flow. First of all, I did not plan on writing this novel. It so happened that I came across some interesting public domain material about the Taj Mahal, and nothing secret. Probably it was the French merchant Tavernier's very famous quote about Taj Mahal, and that piqued my interest. Curiosity aa gayi. What is this about? So I kept digging into some of the references. Also started researching into different libraries, again totally out of curiosity. And then after maybe 6, 7, 8 months, maybe 10 months, I had an interesting collection of maybe 23, 24, maybe 25 very interesting references. Again, public domain, and anyone can really look at those references. I mean, there is nothing secret about it. But after looking at those references, I said, this is an interesting picture. It's creating an interesting picture in my mind. How do I go about maybe sharing some of those references with people? And then the thought came, maybe I should write a thesis. Maybe who will publish the thesis? So the thought was, let's write something, a nice story around these references. So I started discussing those references with some of my friends and family. Iska kya kare? Okay, maybe somebody suggested, well, can you write maybe a fiction novel around it? I said, I'll try. So it so happened that I gave some thought to knitting a story around these references. Maybe let me write a storyline, maybe 2 or 3 pages. But I have no idea what happened. I started writing those 2 or 3 pages, and I have no idea when those 3 pages became 300. That's how the novel came into existence. Those 2 to 3 pages storyline turning into a full-blown 300-page novel. That's how it happened.
So my next question is, आपने ये ताज महल नाम नहीं रख के राज महल क्यों रख दिया? इसमें क्या राज है?
Interesting question है. So first of all, Raaz Mahal rhymes with Taj Mahal, right? So that's kind of one reason I chose the name. And then it has a double title, Raaz Mahal, the Palace of Secrets. And Raaz is of course a Persian word, and Raaz Mahal means a palace of secret. So that's why you will see there's a double title, Raaz Mahal, the Palace of Secret. And to me, and maybe to a reader, after reading the novel, in looking at those references, 20 plus references, it will reveal something to them. What it will reveal, I'm not going to tell you because I'll keep the secret and I'll keep the suspense. You have to read the novel and get the picture for yourself as to what those references are telling you. And that's why there is some secret in those references, even though public domain, and that's why the name Raaz. I hope people will, and the reader will actually discover those Raaz.
So actually, it's a fusion between fiction and historical research. So a reader should read how to segregate the real research versus the fake story. Something you can give a light on that?
I would say enjoy the novel first. That's very important. First, enjoy the novel. People will find different levels or different perceptions in the novel. Some people will just enjoy this novel as a suspense thriller novel, maybe like a Dan Brown style, Da Vinci Code style novel, and you should enjoy that. Some people will find, there's an interesting history about the Taj Mahal, and people will enjoy that too. Then some people will enjoy the interesting facts around the references and evidences around Taj Mahal history. People will enjoy that. So I'm really not going to tell people where to separate the fiction and where to separate the facts. Let them enjoy. Some people will grasp it. Some people will think that all of this is fake and fiction. But I'll say all the documentary evidences, all the documentary evidence in the novels are 100% accurate. You can, and they're in public domain, you can actually look up those references as you read the novel, if that's your kind of bent of mind. Because my friend's son was reading the novel, and he said, yeah, I was actually looking at some of the references, and he enjoyed doing that. So I would tell people where to separate fiction from facts. Let them enjoy the novel, and then the facts will reveal to yourself.
So actually, Taj, हमारे देश का भी ताज है. One of the wonder of the world. It's a sign of love actually. And the story, everyone knows that Shahjahan built for his beloved queen, Alia Begum, Arjuman. Yeah, that was the real name.
Correct.
Yeah. So for her, she died at the time of, I think, 14th child giving the birth. She died, and she wanted probably some to be built in. Probably it was her last wish that.
That's what we are told.
Yeah. So if that is so clear, everyone knows about it. The whole of the India knows about it, or whole of the world knows about it, or it is on the internet. Then why one fellow, according to your story, gave a RTI to get more information? Shall I read that RTI, because that is very interestingly written.
Yeah, you can read that.
Because the whole story is based on this RTI query, and every word is very important. So first point in RTI is, please provide to the citizens of the Union the complete, credible, reconcilable and authoritative documentary evidence that Shahjahan ordered and completed building a structure that was named the Taj Mahal. B. Shall I read all?
Up to you.
Okay, or the one by one you would like to?
Because I'm not going to reveal the secret.
Okay. Then B point, that Mumtaz and Shahjahan were buried in the Taj Mahal. That is also open secret. The third is for the timeline of the construction. That is also. Then please provide to the citizens of the Union the complete details of the latest and professionally done archaeological survey, and if not done, then the reasons, like carbon dating and all. And third point was, please inform the citizens of the Union of the results of carbon dating or any other age determination procedure ever performed on the Taj Mahal. And last point was, this petition does not seek to know whether the Taj Mahal was formerly a temple. So that was very clear in the petition. So why you feel in a novel or in this book these questions one shall raise?
So again, the answer is always curiosity, right? Curiosity has no bounds. There's always an assumption. There are assumptions that we seem to know things, and that's okay. We also tend to think that the matters are always settled. So again, this happens in the novel. Right? An RTI petition is filed to a fictitious Bureau of Archaeology and demanding these questions. So is there something behind, or is there some organization behind this person? We don't know. You'll have to find it out. But again, any citizen can ask this question. It's not a secret, right? Any question, anybody can ask this question. कोई भी पूछ सकता है ये इसके evidences क्या है? We assume that there are evidences, and maybe there are evidences. I'm not denying that. You have to figure it out by reading the novel. So the true answer to that is curiosity. So somebody files a petition saying, please tell us all the evidence behind the current legend of the Taj Mahal. We assume that, most of the people assume that, most of the world assume that, and then just somebody wants to know the evidence. The person is not questioning their story or the evidence. They are just simply wanting to know. A citizen has a right to know things from the government, and he assumes that the government has the evidence. So he files the petition. And then what happens? How does the government respond to that? That is what you have to read in the novel.
Normally, I learned that the history is always written by the winners, always, mostly. And and so it may not be a right history. Okay. Now, in that respect, actually, the Taj Mahal or other things, other monuments or other battles happened or whatever happened in the country, how as a general reader or a general common man understand whether what he is reading is right or wrong, or he just wasting his time in reading unnecessary pages and pages?
ये तो बहुत बड़ा लंबा टॉपिक हो गया है. Answering this is going to be a little difficult, but I'll try my best. And I'll come to the novel itself. आपने जो सवाल पूछा उसके आंसर novel में ही है. So in the novel, the protagonist or the main character जो होता है Vijay Kumar, he uses a framework to analyze and really analyze his work and analyze his assignments. He develops a framework. So that framework, anyone can use actually, and it's available for common man. How to separate facts from partial facts, how to separate partial facts from probabilities, how to separate them from possibilities, how to separate them from hypotheses, theories, conjecture, and then you add it to opinions or imaginations and fictions and fantasy. So a common man can actually always apply this framework when reading historic material. Whether to believe or not is a matter of choice, right? Whether to keep your reasoning on all the time is your choice. The moment you suspend your reasoning, you will believe what is being put in front of you. So for a common man, as you ask, the answer is have your reasoning up all the time. You don't have to believe anything, you don't have to disbelieve anything, but apply your reasoning all the time.
So the questions raised in the RTI about who built, who buried, when built, in the entire novel, for the audience, would you like to tell that you have answered those, or what you have presented, whether it's a right or wrong, or again you left everyone in a confusion?
Well, that's the idea. That's the idea. For the readers to draw their conclusion, even the protagonist, the main character of Vijay Kumar, usko jo assignment milta hai, he doesn't necessarily have his own conclusions, or maybe he has a conclusion. I'll let you figure it out. But I'll quote one sentence after the meeting and the presentation to his committee. Vijay Kumar Chopra, or the superintending archaeologist, he asked Vijay Kumar, so Vijay Kumar, what do you think? is the current legend and the current story credible? So Vijay Kumar answers, sir, the evidence or the lack of evidence has spoken for itself. So now you figure out what that means and you read the novel and figure it out.
Since the question raised on the one of the most revered monument of the India, so don't you think your novel can create a more misunderstanding, or the evidences you are given in that will lead to some clarity?
Again, the evidence occurs within the story. I mean, it is not my plan to come up with any new theories or new theses. As I said, it is essentially a fictional story, but still based on research and based on hard evidence that anyone can look at. So, what to make out of the facts and the evidence is for the people to decide. So, I really don't have any particular
So you said research actually. So can you tell us the research methodology you applied to get so much of the information, and how much time it took you to get all the information and weaving into a fiction story?
Sure, it was a long process. I would say maybe it took at least a couple of years for me to completely collect all the relevant references and relevant evidence that is relevant to the novel. I don't necessarily say that it answers all the questions or the historical questions, but whatever was relevant to the novel. The methodology was actually mostly common sense. That you find a reference, you figure it out to where it is coming from. Okay, Tavernier has a memoir. Where do you find this particular sentence in that memoir? What is that memoir about? Is he making a reference to something else? Then you go and find that reference, and so on and so forth. And then tie those references to the legend that we all know currently about the Taj Mahal. And see, okay, all the evidences and all the references, are they telling the same story, or there is something else? Is that complete? Because once you find some evidence, you may find something else that was not typically shared with the public, or public did not have the opportunity to look at it. So that was the process. But at the same time, what I mentioned earlier, when you look at the evidence, look at it as, is it a complete fact? Then is it a partial fact? Or is the author only expressing a possibility or a probability, or is it a theory, or is it just somebody said something? So I think that the methodology that the protagonist uses in the novel is pretty much the same methodology that I use to collect the evidence.
आपने इसमें 2-3 जगह ये गाना बहुत मेंशन किया है, जो वादा किया वो निभाना पड़ेगा, जब भी पुकारा तुमको आना पड़ेगा. What was the relevance of this song with the whole story?
So you have to read the novel for that. First of all, this is a suspense thriller fiction novel, right? It's not a prior research that you have to scratch your brain as to what this research is telling you. First of all, it has to be an enjoyable novel, right from the first word to the last word. So for the readers to enjoy the novel, you would see there are different levels. There are clips from old movie song, एक दो sentences लिए जैसे मैंने आपने बताया, so those sentences are there. It creates an environment. So the protagonist is kind of experiencing maybe some kind of a supernatural phenomena, and in that he kind of hears those songs, and those songs are popular songs. Popular songs about the Taj Mahal. So I thought it will create a very entertaining scenario for the readers. So that was the idea to embed some of those popular movie songs. Jo Wada Kiya Hai, and there is other Shahne Banwa Ke Hasi Taj Mahal. So I embedded those songs in the novel.
Actually, this Alia Begum died in Burhanpur, and buried somewhere near that place. South of the Burhanpur, some Taki was area. So why she when she died there, why she was buried there, and the monument was made there, not the place in this? Some reference is there, or what was the thought behind that Shah Jahan probably had to take 600 kilometers per hour?
Actually, that is a question, and that's a question that the novel raises. And hopefully you have found the answer why, and hopefully you will find the answer why after reading the answer. I'm not going to reveal what exactly the purpose was. Or maybe I don't know either. Or maybe the novel doesn't answer that question. Why it was done? Was it done? So that's not the idea. But the goal is to sort of entertain people, entertain the reader, but at the same time pose an intriguing question to the readers.
Any one of you heard about Black Taj? One hand. Black Taj, yeah, 4 hands. So people are very knowledgeable here. Can you explain, because for rest of the I read first time that there is a Black Taj in Burhanpur, and that is also in maintenance building is there. And can you give some detail about that?
Again, I just came across this interesting reference when I was researching about the novel and where the novel, various events in the novel take place, how to knit the story, what happens in Burhanpur, and then the protagonist's visit to Burhanpur, and in 1631 when Alia Begum died, what really happened. So there's some fiction around that story. So we don't know exactly what happened. There is more research required. In the novel, you will see both the caretaker and the Vijay Kumar protagonist discussing, hey, यहाँ पर कुछ लग रहा है, यहाँ पर कुछ है, is someone buried here? Then the caretaker said, no साहब ऐसा नहीं है, ऐसे बहुत जगह है यहाँ पर आपको ऐसे bounds मिल जाएंगे. So what does that mean? So Vijay Kumar uses a GPR or ground penetrating radar, and he runs the radar on one of the mounds, and he finds something. What does he find? Does he even report back? Maybe he doesn't. And why doesn't he report back what he found? Was there something there that he came across? Because his assistant Samir asked him, sir, what did you see? What did you find? He just doesn't answer that question. So we don't know what really happened. At least in the novel, we don't know what happened.
So you plan to write a sequel of it?
I wish to write a sequel because there are many things that have not been revealed in the novel, and it creates a nice tension, curiosity, excitement. क्या हुआ इसका आंसर नहीं मिला, उसका आंसर नहीं मिला, इसका आंसर मिल गया है, विजय कुमार का क्या हुआ, उसका टीम का क्या हुआ, तो फिर आरटीआई पिटीशन का क्या हुआ. So it raises very interesting questions in the mind. So yeah, there is a hope and there is a wish that there will be a sequel and a few more answers may be revealed.
And while reading the book, actually, I found that written so beautifully that film can be made on that. So do you have any idea of making film on that, or you have been approached by somebody to?
It's my wish that maybe someone will pick up a novel and maybe write a screenplay and make a movie out of it. Let's hope. I did talk to a couple of people, but it's a long process. I hope people will approach and maybe consider this. That it is, as you said, it is written like a screenplay, almost like a screenplay. And some people have reported when the movie is coming out. I said, I don't know. Hopefully soon. So thank you very much for thinking in that respect. So if you know someone, yeah, please. Happy to talk to movie producer, production houses, directors. But I personally do not have those contacts.
My last question: that without revealing the secret written in the book, what additional information you would like to give to our audience so that their interest aroused to read the book came from page to page?
First of all, I'll maybe tell you just a brief story. Actually, it is on the back of the book also. You can look at it, and the back of the book will tell you the story. So, what's the high-level storyline? So the novel starts in 1631, around the death of Mumtaz Mahal. So what really happened then? Where was Shah Jahan? Where was Mumtaz? What was really happening? What was the situation? The military situation also. He was on an expedition. What was really going on there? So the novel starts around that area, that era. That part ends with the burial of Mumtaz. Where exactly she was buried? Was there something peculiar about her burial? Where was she buried? So that's kind of the initial chapter. Then the novel moves into a break-in or burglary at the Taj Mahal that occurs around 1690. So what do burglars really find there? And then after the burglars, what happens to the burglars? And then the caretaker of the Taj Mahal in that area, what do they decide about the tunnels or the chambers or the secret chambers? What really happens? What do they decide? So that's where kind of the part one ends. Then the novel moves into 1960s when Dr. B. N. Roy is researching into Taj Mahal. So what is his report about? What does his report really say? And he's wanting to share his research findings to someone of a high authority position. Is he able to meet that guy? What happens to their meeting? And then after their meeting, what happened to Dr. Roy? What happened to his research? Was it shared with the public? Nobody knows, and nobody did not. So the novel then moves into the current present time. So in the present time, as Lodha explained, essentially an RTI petition comes to the Bureau of Archaeology and asking for all those references and details that Lodha just explained. How does the Bureau react to this RTI? I mean, do they have this evidence readily available? You would think yes, maybe not. And then what do they do about that, answering that petition? So what they do is they dump the case on Vijay Kumar. Vijay Kumar is the protagonist or the hero, if you will. Vijay Kumar has no interest in taking on this case. He has an interesting past that has an impact on his current work. He's trying to tell Chopra and his senior that, hey sir, देखो कुछ मालूम नहीं है ताज महल के बारे में, आप ये केस में क्यों दे रहे हैं? But maybe Chopra, maybe his supervisors, they have some plan and they dump the case on Vijay Kumar. But then Vijay Kumar, he has his own approach. He has his methodology. He's a logical thinker. He's a rational guy. He believes in reasoning. He doesn't take anything on face value. That means he's looking for evidence for everything. So soon he finds that the RTI petition is not as straightforward as it seems. And then there are some interesting incidences. First of all, he's given a team. One is Malik, who is kind of an old timer. Then there is Samir, who is kind of a technology geek. And then there is Sonia. Sonia is an intern coming from England. What is she doing there? And this is the team that is given to Vijay Kumar. Vijay Kumar is not sure, is this team going to help me really write an answer to this petition? Do they know? Are they interested? What is their motive? Why are they behaving the way they are behaving? Are they really going to help me? So he soon realizes this is not going to be very straightforward, but he tells Chopra that, sir, I'm going to use my methodology. You cannot stop me. If you want to give this case to someone else, please do so. But I'm going to follow my methodology. Then there are some interesting incidences. What happened to the RTI petitioner? What happens to him? And then there is a dead body found in the lower chamber of the Taj Mahal. And then some gold coins are found in the body. Who is that person? How did he get into the lower chamber of the Taj Mahal? Because Taj Mahal is completely secure. There's only one way. The chamber is closed to the general public. Only people from Bureau of Archaeology can go into the lower chamber of the Taj Mahal. So, who is that person? How did he die? How did he get into Taj Mahal first in the lower chamber? So those are the questions that arise. And from there onwards starts Vijay Kumar's pursuit. So it's a kind of a fast-paced pursuit. The whole thing happens in 10 to 12 days. He goes around the country. He goes to actually a European country to figure out and collect the evidence to complete his case, complete his research. He comes to India, then goes to a few places. He goes to Burhanpur. What does he find in Burhanpur? Why does he go to Burhanpur? And then comes the final day where he has to present his findings to a committee at the Bureau of Archaeology. How does that meeting go? Who arrives? Who comes to that meeting? Dr. Mathur, a very famous historian, she is assigned as a kind of a lead on that committee. So what does Vijay Kumar really present to this committee, and does the committee really accept his finding? Does his finding, or do his findings have a sort of a conclusive nature, or is it open-ended? And then Dr. Nayak and Dr. Mathur, they asked Vijay Kumar, so what shall we do? What do you think of this evidence? What shall we do? He says, sir, I did my job. My job was to analyze the evidence, and I did with logic, reasoning. Now it's up to the department what to do. But if the department wants my advice, here's my advice. What is that advice? You have to read it now. And then whether a department takes up the advice, and what happens to Vijay Kumar, what happens to his report, what happens to his colleagues, where does the whole case end up? So hopefully this has piqued your interest, and hopefully this will excite.
So friends, actually I can tell one thing. Last I read the book. आप एक बार पढ़ना चालू करोगे, उसको रखोगे नहीं. It's so interestingly woven the entire historical facts with the fictitious story. Only your intelligence will be required to separate the fiction with the history. So read with the caution and enjoy reading. But if you have any question, you can ask, please.
So first of all, a warm good evening to honorable delegates and dear friends, colleague friends. So sir, first of all, thank you so much from our side that you have enhanced our curiosity for the Raaz Mahal, or we can say the Taj Mahal. So we are really, we have given a new thought for the thinking about Taj Mahal. My question is that did Emperor Shah Jahan chop off the hands of the Taj Mahal workers? So would you like to throw some lights on that, please? Is it a myth or it's a fact?
So I'm not a historian, okay?
Right.
And I'm not going to claim any particular historical facts. I mean, you have to read the novel. But all I can say is the novel. All I can say is in the novel there is a reference to that particular incident. But what is the answer to that? And who answered that question? And what does the answer really tell you? You have to read the novel. So, but I'll say that reference is there in the novel.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It's just something that I'd like to know. While you were doing your research, and have you actually visited Burhanpur and these places? Like, are you curious to go and see?
All I'll say is I wish I would have been able to visit these places more than what I've done so far. But I found enough material both at the libraries and online, and particularly in the internet archives, to tell me to be able to write down.
You see, Nagpur is a very small town, and
Yeah.
it's hardly mentioned in history, even though it was like
Yeah.
trade center. Like.
Correct. So I mean, yeah, but there's enough material available in terms of how Burhanpur is structured, the Tapi River, the north side is Burhanpur, and then the south side. So I was able to find enough material online to be able to weave that into my novel. I wish I could visit these places more. But again, I started writing the novel, and I always ask the question, do I need this evidence? Do I need more? And if the answer was enough, I stopped there and I did not.
Probably like a curiosity, like go and actually
Yeah,
see.
absolutely. I mean, I think people should go, and so what is out there in Burhanpur? How do people, look at Burhanpur? How many people visit Burhanpur? How many people know about Burhanpur? There are so many interesting sites around Burhanpur. Burhanpur's location and strategic location in the olden days. That is also mentioned in the novel, particularly the initial chapter, because Shah Jahan is on an expedition, there's a rebellion going on. So what happens there? So the description of Burhanpur is very well captured, and you will enjoy it.
Sir, thank you so much for coming, first of all. So you are an amazing storyteller, and I was very intrigued with the way you told whatever parts of the story you could. Is this really about Taj Mahal or is this a murder mystery?
It's all of that. It's all of that. And let me tell you, people will find, and people have reported. So there are 2 or 3 threads, maybe I'll say 2 or 3 threads in the novel. There is this RTI petition thread, then there is a thread around the dead bodies and the murders that occurred in the novel. And it's a style of writing, and it's a style of writing where you create 2 or 3 threads, parallel threads in your story, and sometimes you do not actually untangle some of the threads. You just leave them as they are and move with your main thread. There is also the concept of anticlimax. Sometimes you think, oh, अभी ये होने वाला, ये होना है, वो होना है, पर कुछ नहीं होता है. ऐसा भी है. So there are, I'll say, some people will find this just a nice, suspenseful story. Some people will look at this as a very interesting historical fact. Some people will think, very interesting history about Taj Mahal itself. Some people might, oh, this RTI petition is very interesting. And then some people will say, what's next? So all is covered in this novel. People will enjoy it at different levels. The reactions from people are really, really encouraging. One thing people have told me is, oh, अभी हमको फिर से जाना पड़ेगा ताजमहल देखने के लिए. अभी हम लोग तो गए हैं वहाँ पर. But after reading your novel, I want to go again and see Taj Mahal.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, sir. क्या ये सच है कि वो जो सूरज की पहली किरण है वो ताज महल के इस पे मज़ार पे पड़ती है? ये सच है कि इंजीनियर्स की क्रिएशन है?
Honestly, I have not really found much evidence or much description around that particular event. Okay, I've not included it in the novel. हो सकता है, but again, people, you can say anything, right? It's interesting. You can say anything, you can write anything, but does that make it fact? Right? It does not. So that means, what is the evidence? Has someone really verified it? Has someone checked it? That's the methodology you have to apply. So it's possible. I mean, wonders do occur. There are architectural wonders. You don't have to deny it. If it's happening, it's happening. You don't have to deny it. But if it's not happening, why spread the rumors? Good evening.
Yeah, thank you for your motivation and जो आपने हमको स्टोरी बताई for the book. I just want to ask that आपने जो book लिखा है वो इस era में लिखा है, right? अगर आपको chance होता कि आप उस टाइम पे present होते हैं that moment, तो आपका thought क्या होता? जो आपने लिखा है इस टाइम पे या उस टाइम पे क्या changes होते? अगर आप कुछ clarity बताना चाहें.
So, मैं तो इतना ही बताऊंगा कि when you start reading the novel, as I said, the novel starts in 1631. So it's not that I'm just talking about the current time. So 1631, what happened? So you will see that, and the story slowly moves from 1631 to 1690s, then to 1960s, and the present time. So the answer to your question is, actually, I have covered the historical era also. Yeah, there could be, one can write more about that era, what happened. Maybe someone has written already about that era, but the challenge is not enough material is available in detail, even in the Mughal records, in my opinion. So yeah, somebody can do more research and just write a novel just around that era. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
So this is in regards to ask you about this specific thing, that this monument, Taj Mahal has also been in questions in regards to claims of it being of a Hindu temple or anything of that sort. So does this book validate it? Does it give evidences about it, or does it deny to the fact?
None of that, but with a caveat. None of that with a caveat, as he said. The RTI petition says, I'm not interested. We are not interested in knowing whether this is a Hindu temple or not. That's where the matter ends. But then there is when Vijay Kumar makes a presentation, he finds an interesting fact around that topic. And what is that fact? You have to read the novel. But other than that, the topic of the novel has nothing to do with that controversial topic, if you will. It focuses on, I will say, or the novel and the protagonist, they focus on a more fundamental question, in my opinion. And what is that fundamental question? You have to read the novel.
So last question, if anybody, otherwise we end.
Yeah, thanks for coming, and thanks to Raji for running this animation, and to Raji and the team. quick thing with the reference of what Nalini said about WhatsApp University. And this, during the discussion, you mentioned about the curiosity and the idea of validating what you see or what you read. So with these two references, in today's world, whatever is happening, little different question than this novel actually, but because you have done a lot of research on this and you have built that thinking pattern and the line actually, so what would you advise to the young generation about this fact that whatever comes into the WhatsApp University or whatever we see, how to look at that and how to apply own logical thinking to it? You have some reference you have given in the book and you have actually mentioned that that can be referred by anyone. So what would you advise how to use that in a day-to-day knowledge and day-to-day life with the WhatsApp University, which is the word? Thank you very much.
That's a loaded question.
That's a loaded question, yeah.
It's a loaded question, and I don't know whether I'm an authority to answer that question. Because I've simply written a novel, I did research, interesting research, it piqued my curiosity, and then following the thread of my curiosity, I just went on researching. And then how the protagonist in the novel will approach the assignment that is given to him. He uses all the methodology and the frameworks. But I'll try to answer that question. Again, the answer to all of that is simple. The reasoning to everything. And I'll actually re-quote an interesting quote from the novel itself, which is in the epigraph of the novel. It's from Bhagwan Gautam Buddha. And why it's important you will see. So this is from the apparently attributed to Bhagwan Gautam Buddha. What he says is, do not believe in anything because it is said so, nor in inferences drawn from some haphazard assumptions we have made, but we are to believe when the writing doctrine is corroborated by our own reason and conscience. So if you apply this methodology, this framework to anything that comes your way, I would say you might find answer. Or at least you can find whether what you are reading is accurate enough or not. Because the last thing you want to do is believe. Because Gautam Buddha's everything is teaching about reasoning. That's it. So WhatsApp University, yeah, you can read anything, but who asked you to believe? No one is forcing you to believe. You are choosing to believe, right? Belief is always chosen. No one is imparting it on you. So I know I'm not an authority in that matter at all. I'm not a philosopher at all. So hopefully I answered.
Last question is what is next now?
Good question. As I said, a few things have not been revealed. People have asked, so what happens next? So there is a good chance, and I hope there will be a sequel. I'm working on it mentally in my head. I've not started writing a sequel yet, but there will be a sequel, I hope, someday, maybe in a couple of years. It's not really exactly a sequel. It's probably a parallel story to the current story, and then the story kind of, the two stories kind of meet in the current time again, and then they move forward. So again, I'm not committing, but that's my hope and wish that there will be a sequel.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you have books for
no, I mean, books are available online on Amazon.com.
Yes. The books are available online on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon as well as Mehta Publications. Yeah, the book is widely available on multiple platforms, multiple formats, Amazon.India, Amazon.com, as well as Apple Books, Google Play Books. In the US, it's also available as in Audible also. It's an audio book. Mehta Prakashan from Pune has the Marathi version, Marathi translation. Varun Prakashan from Delhi has the Hindi version also. And those are also available on Amazon.India. So, yeah.
sir.
That was a really great session, sir. Thank you so much. On behalf of SGR Knowledge Foundation, powered by Raisoni Group of Institutions and Audit City Literature Festival, I thank Mr. Neal Nathan, sir, for the wonderful session and for sharing his valuable insights. I would also like to thank CA Hemant Lodha, sir, for his support to conduct this session. I thank Shri Raisoni, Chairman of Raisoni Group of Institutions, for his support in making this event successful. I thank everyone and all the teaching and non-teaching staff for attending the session. I thank all the PRO team and SGR KF team, Dr. Brunali Nayak, for everything, for conducting this session and the team for coordinating the event. Thank you so much.